Good morning, dear friends. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook, located on the ancestral lands of the Settlecott people. My name is Laura Lesch, and I was supposed to be your worship service leader this morning, along with our worship associate co-chair, June Cerveny. However, June became, shall I say, indisposed during the night, and my fellow WA and true friend, Ellen Bartley, has stepped up literally at the last minute to cover her for this important and hopefully inspiring service. Our Director of Religious Education is Deb Little. Our musicians this morning are Linda Cortese, Rich Hall, Dan Weymouth, Tom Pelletier, Peter Winkler, and Dee Dee Cook. Our tech team, bless the tech team, is John Morris and Rob Pond. We welcome you wherever you may be this morning, here in our sanctuary or attending virtually. We are one congregation worshiping together, so let's all of us here say hi and wave to the folks at home through the camera on your left. Hey. A very special welcome to those of you who are here for the first time. We're so glad you're with us, and we look forward to getting to know you. If you are comfortable, can you raise your hand so we can recognize you and greet you personally after the service? Anybody here for the first time? Okay. Welcome to any of you who are new online. Please plan to join us after the service for coffee and conversation. For those of you with us online, if you sign off after the service and return to our website, you will find the link for joining our virtual coffee hour for a small group chat. Whether here or online, you will find some friendly folks who can answer any questions you may have. Now, I hope those of you who are here notice the new display when you enter the sanctuary that has been put up by our Racial Concerns Committee to celebrate Women's History Month. For those online, we will show you some slides, including some of the posters of women who have given so much to us. If it looks unfinished to you, that's because we are hoping that all of you will contribute to it. Following today's service and throughout the month of March, we invite you to think about one or more women from history or from your family or a friend or a colleague who you would like to hold up and honor by writing their names on the sheets of white paper mounted on the board along the back wall. See those sheets of white paper? There are markers for you to use, and feel free to decorate as you go. This is for all ages, and the children will be coming in after class to add names too. For those online, you can send your choices in a text message to our wonderful board member, Charlie Posey, at 516-459-7718, and one of us will add them to the boards for you. That cell phone number is in the chat now. And I have one quick announcement. I hope many of you are considering attending General Assembly in June, either live in Baltimore or online from home. Especially if you might like to serve as a delegate, please see me after the service or call me before Wednesday if you haven't already done so to let me know, because I will be submitting those names to the board on Wednesday night. There's information in the March newsletter, but if you've got questions, I've got answers, especially about being a delegate, and if I can't answer it, I'll find the answer for you. Tina Good will present our UU Stewardship Minute this morning. Tina.
My biggest fear was not tripping over those stairs coming up. Good morning. This is my first time addressing the fellowship. And while a little terrified, I'm also happy to be included in the stewardship conversation. When thinking about what I might say, I began to think about this idea of stewardship. And you know, I believe we are good stewards. We are good stewards to each other. We are good stewards of our fellowship, and we are good stewards for our community. When Judd asked me to speak today, he said, just speak about why I'm here. And while that's a complex question, I think that one answer is that I've discovered in you what it means to be a good steward. When I first came here a year and a half ago, I discovered services that lifted me up, piqued my curiosity, and challenged my intellectual spirit. I felt I had found a home. But I wasn't sure how to let my home know I'd like to come in. And then I met Shelley. She introduced me into the Shawl Circle, some of the warmest, smartest, and compassionate women I've ever met. They have been my mentors, and I could not be more grateful to them. Soon after, I found myself at the women's dinner, where once again, I discovered women dedicated to each other, the fellowship, and social justice. And then Shelley encouraged me to join the Unicorn Singers. And they let me in, even though I hadn't been in a choir for decades. There are so many paths for us to explore in this fellowship. I have only begun to scratch the surface of our many activities with my participation in the book group, the decorating committee, the walking group, and the kitchen crew. Along the way, I discovered people who are quietly giving of their time, their talents, and their treasures to create a welcoming, active, and socially committed place for us. So many are contributing in ways that are unseen and yet invaluable to the sustainability of our community. But you know, we're also just a lot of fun. Let me tell you, I get around Francis or Judd or Dan, and they just keep me laughing. Maybe you kind of remember this, but when my husband went off the rails at the auction and won the bid for the apartment in the city, Linda and I shared in my surprise and joy as though we were sisters. My husband and I then got to meet Vivian and Stu, who invited us into their home and made us feel like we had been friends forever. But, you know, when life gets sad or complicated, this fellowship also shows up. The support and love emanating from this group of people is authentic and uplifting. I am perhaps most proud of our social activism. It has helped me find paths towards my own activism, and the commitment and courage demonstrated by our leaders is not only inspiring, it helps us make a difference, even when sometimes we may feel defeated. So I keep coming, but I know that's not enough. To borrow from a cliche, I realize that not only must our fellowship survive, it must thrive. And to do so, we have to provide a space, a staff, a governance, and a treasury that affords us our small place in the world. That is more important now than ever. I'm not good at fundraising, but I understand budgets. And I know to create a budget, we have to have some idea of what we're going to take in for next year. So I give what I can, but perhaps more importantly, I've made a commitment to the fellowship through my pledge so we can continue to laugh together, support each other, and be good stewards for ourselves and our world. Thank you for welcoming me and letting me become a part of this community. I hope you know how special and rare such a place is. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. For sharing our joys and sorrows at any time during the service this morning, please feel free to come forward to the table on the left, and today we'll be lighting a candle in keeping with the theme of today's service. Or you can always light a candle at home. I ask that you please silence your cell phones so that we may all be attentive to this time we share together. Let us enter now into the sacred space of worship with the sounding of the morning bell. May the vibrations open our hearts and our minds and bring us fully into this moment.
Instead of cursing the darkness, light a candle for where we're going. There's something ahead worth looking for. And when the light of time is on us, you will see our moment come, and the living soul inside will carry on. Well, it's a chance to give new meaning to every move we make, in the caverns and in the caves where we come from. And when the light of dawn is on us, we will see what we can be, and the ancient ones will sleep an easy sleep. 'Cause in the hallways of the ages and on the road to history, what we do now will always be with us. It's a chance to give new meaning to every move we make, in the caverns and in the caves where we come from. Instead of cursing the darkness, we'll light a candle for where we're going. There's something ahead worth looking for. And when the light of time is on us, you will see our moment come, and the living soul inside will carry on. Light a candle in the darkness so others might see ahead. Light a candle in the darkness when you go. Light a candle in the darkness so others might see ahead. Light a candle in the darkness when you go.
Thank you. Today, each generation of our community will help light our chalice and sustain our flame. Frances McGuire will come forward with our chalice and place it on our chalice table. On behalf of the elders in our congregation, I say, across the generations, we have been nourished by this flame. We are singing new songs, breaking old barriers, sharing in the work. And as we find our own space in what has been, we are here to make space for the next person as well. We join in the line and we carry the flame forward. Rich Hall will come forward with a candle, with the candle snuffer. We're getting to the candle. And on behalf of the many leaders in the congregation, which Rich is representing, I say, I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. Gia Anderson will come forward, representing the youth, with the candle we will use to light the chalice. And on behalf of the youth in our congregation, I say, to this house we come, bringing our boldest dreams, seeking here the inspiration and strength to make them be. Needing to grow beyond plateaus of the commonplace, we seek here challenges and commitments productive of greater wholeness and deeper meanings. Strange place, this house. Here we cry, we sing, we laugh, hurt, dance, touch, survive, celebrate, grow, search, doubt, hope, rejoice, pray, trust, care, learn, think, wonder, be, become. Yes, this morning to this house we come. No, not yet. Yeah, that's fine. On behalf of the families of the congregation, the Kyle and Perry family will come forward, accept the candle and the lighting of it from Gia, and then light our chalice for us. Come behind, come from behind so we can see. And on behalf of the families and the children in our congregation, I say, today we celebrate a dream awakening. Today we worship with renewed hope in our hearts. Today we act on an audacity of hopes and dreams for the future. Today we begin the hard work for justice, equity, and compassion in all human relations. For today is a day like no other, and it is ours to shape with vision and action. Let us worship together and celebrate a dream awakening. Thank you all. And let's all rise, embody your spirit, and join in singing our first hymn, number 347 in your gray hymnal, Gather the Spirit.
This morning, on the way here, NPR reminded me that today is 5 years since we shut down this congregation because of COVID. I remember that weekend so well, as we scrambled to practically overnight become a congregation that put our services online for all our members. And at that time, when I told the time for all ages, Dan and I led the service from our messy living room, I reminded everyone that our love is like a string that connects us always, always, no matter where we are. And look at us this morning. Now, some of us missed the spring awakening, but still, not bad. We are here and we are thriving. Today, we're following the metaphor of lighting a light to represent financial support for this community. It's about money, folks, which is a necessity for every religious home. But one of our kids reminded me, oh, we light candles all the time. Yes, we do. So the story this morning is called One Light. And Judd Kramarczyk introduced me to it. Thank you, Judd. On the opening page, Greta Thunberg, who you folks probably know, the amazing young Swedish climate activist, reminds the kids that you, each of you, are never too small to make a difference. And as public radio reminded me this weekend, every donation matters. So now I'm going to begin the story, but I would ask my helpers to move back to places in the back of the congregation. So Max, Ellie, excellent. So just find a space, but a little bit away from other people. Ellie, that's perfect. Just stay right there. All right. Okay, I have a row. I like it. It was a cold and dreary evening. Rain fell, wind swirled, and suddenly the lights went out. Helena, who we're calling Mouse in this story, peeked outside her house. She saw no one, and she felt lonely. She wondered if anybody else was feeling lonely too. Maybe, thought Mouse, Helena, who wasn't a mouse at all. That's what her friends called her. A light would help. Maybe a light would help. So she wasn't sure if one light could make a difference, but just in case it could, she searched for a lantern she had made in school. She asked her mom for help with a candle, and then Helena lit one light. She decided her light would do the most good where others could see it. So she set it outside her door, and a big gust of wind blew it over. She tried again, and this time her light stayed lit. Feeling brighter, Mouse went inside. Soon, Max scurried along, worrying about 100 small things and struggling to keep up with his schnauzer. Then, Max and his schnauzer spotted the light outside Mouse's house. And for some reason, his dog stopped pulling, and Max's worries seemed to float away. When Max got home, he whispered, "A light in my window could make someone else smile." And so, Max lit one light. Not long after that, Eliana hurried by, and she usually dashed past Max's house, thinking about whatever it was that she had to do next. How lovely, she thought, as she stopped and stared at Max's light, no longer in a rush. I wonder if I should add my own light. And so when she got home, Eliana lit one light. As the evening turned to night, Jeff ambled toward home, leaning on his cane as the wind whipped around. He wasn't usually afraid of the dark, but this gloomy evening had him feeling nervous. His fears disappeared, though, when he saw Max's light shining. Perhaps a light at my house, he said to himself, would be a welcoming sight. And when he returned to his attic apartment, Jeff lit one light. In a little while, Mama Cassandra and Audrey came along. Mama was exhausted. "Look, Mama," Audrey cried joyfully as she saw Eliana's light flickering overhead. All at once, Mama felt a glimmer of energy, and she scooped Audrey up, you don't have to, and carried her home. So when they got home, Audrey said eagerly, "Mama, let's share our light too." "I'm too tired," Mama said, yawning, and so was Isaac. But Audrey smiled and said, "Please," and together, Mama and Audrey lit one light. One by one, others in the neighborhood headed homeward on that dark and stormy night. They felt their spirits lift whenever they spotted a sparkling light. And when they arrived at home, each of them lit one light. Later, Mouse peeked out to check on her light. It was still glowing. "Mouse, could you hold your light up?" There we go. Thank you. Then she looked around in amazement. She didn't feel lonely anymore. And she realized something. One light had made all the difference. Amen. So now, oh, yes, please applaud for our actors. Thank you. Okay, so helpers, you can keep your lights and take them back to RE. Everyone else, open your hymnals to the last page and join in singing the Reeb Children's Benediction as we send the children out. Michelle and Katie are leading the kindergarten through fourth grade today, and Carrie and Cassandra are leading the middle school. Thank you all.
Our opening words this morning are by the Reverend Jane Ronnie Rezebka. During the 1930s, of course, times were tough. During that period, members of our church were accustomed to pledging either 25 cents a week, 50 cents, or $1 a week. In the 1929-1930 church year, all the church members fulfilled their pledges of $13 for the year or $26 or $52. But as the Depression continued, our ledger books began to show tiny numbers at the bottom of each page. 5 cents, $2, $12, and then a little s. 5 cents short of the pledge, $12 short. Just what one would expect during the Depression. But picture this. Picture more numbers appearing at the bottom of that same ledger. $4, 80 cents, $7, 30 cents, and after those numbers, the tiny letter O, $4 over the amount pledged, 80 cents over. There's no evidence in our records of a special appeal from the Board of Trustees, no traces of public discussion, only the quiet generosity of the people. For every pledge that had to fall short, one of many generous people overpaid to compensate. The history of our churches tells us that Gandhi was never a member. Mother Teresa never belonged either. King Midas never showed up. Our people dedicated their babies, they worshiped, they reached out to do their part in the world, they tended to one another, they kept the place going. They tried to live their best lives, regular folks, just like us. And then they carried the light forward. They sustained the flame.
Let us enter into our time of meditation. Our spoken words this morning are those of a poem, When Giving is All We Have, by Alberto Rios. Our spoken words give way to silence, and then Dee Dee will bring us out of silence by playing through hymn number 402, From You I Receive. If you're not familiar with this, you might want to open your hymnal now. Dee Dee and Peter will play it through once, and then we will sing it through 3 times. So these words from Alberto Rios. We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. We have been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces. It is loud and quiet, big though small, diamond and wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn, and the pages too. But we read this book anyway, over and over again. Giving is first in every time, hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue, and I gave you yellow. Together we were simple green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give, and together we made something greater from the difference.
I know this service must seem about nothing but asking for money. But really, that's not what it's all about. It is our spiritual practice each week to share our offering plate with an organization working for social justice in the world. Our shared plate recipient for the month of March is the Eastern Farm Workers Association. The Eastern Farm Workers Association is a free and voluntary organization of farm workers, seasonal workers, and others with low income uniting to end their poverty conditions. Membership reaches from Montauk and Orient Point all the way into Nassau County. When originally founded in 1972, most of the original members were working on the many potato and duck farms under harsh and unsafe conditions. Today, potatoes have largely been replaced by other crops, and only one duck farm remains, and most of their workers have been laid off now because of the bird flu outbreak. Yet Suffolk County's agriculture generates more dollars per acre than any other county in the United States. And the labor of more than 5,000 farm workers here also supports our $3.2 billion tourism industry, which directly employs over 43,000 people. Yet farm workers are still relegated to second-class status. Through their Members Helping Members approach, the Eastern Farm Workers Association is working every day of the year to meet the survival needs of its 40,000 members, who include farm workers employed as vegetable, greenhouse, nursery, and vineyard workers, landscapers, painters, pruners, pickers, and packers. Other workers as housekeepers, restaurant, food service, and grocery store workers, teacher aides, home health aides, and other essential workers who help make Suffolk County's economy run. Volunteers join with members offering their benefit program, which delivers emergency food, clothing, donated preventive medical and dental care, back-to-school distributions, and much more, free of charge to its members. But all of this depends on donations. In this time of widespread sudden cuts and closings and layoffs, we find ourselves asking, along with our closing song this morning, what shall I do? Well, here is something each of us can do right here, right now. Let's really donate generously so we all can have food on our tables tonight. For those online, go ahead, click that donate button in the chat. And for those in here, the offering plate is on its way to you. Enjoy our music.
One, two, three.
Looking out at the night beyond the driver's wheel, curving hips made of snow in the winter fields. There's a house set way back where the lamplight glows like a star out in the cold, filled with people I'll never know, who left a light in the window. What would I change if the choice were mine? I was doing the best I knew at the time. Every door that was opened and door that closed, all the things that made me grow, sent me off down another road to look for a light in the window. Now the old is already passed away, but the new is too new to be born today. So I'm throwing out seeds on the winter snow as the cold wind begins to blow. Standing here on a new threshold, I can see a light, there's a light in the window. And the world is made of stone, and the world is made of glass, and the world is made of light that is moving very fast. Pass from mystery to mystery, so I won't lie. I don't know what happens when people die, but I hope that I see you walking slow, smiling wide as the sunrise grows. I drop my map with 1,000 folds. In the distance I see it glow. There's a light, there's a light, there's a light in the window.
I heard a wow, and I second that. We couldn't have asked for better music for today. While you can continue to light candles for the rest of the service, I want to just take a moment to acknowledge the flames that glow before us. May their light carry our shared joys and sorrows, reminding us that we are connected and we hold each other in love and in caring. This morning, I share with you a reflection on stewardship by the Reverend Bill Neely. He starts by telling the story. When I was in the later years of grade school, I began taking the bus to the mall on the weekends. I loved to watch movies, so I'd get the local bus schedule and see when I'd need to be at the bus stop to catch the one that went to the mall. I'd plan on seeing a movie, playing a few video games, and look at the schedule again to see which bus I would need to catch home. We lived in an apartment complex that was sort of in the suburbs where the buses didn't run very often. Everything had to be timed out, or you could end up waiting a long time, possibly hours, for the next bus. And the bus fares, which were cash only then, had to be figured out in advance. The fare getting there was pretty simple. I either had it or I didn't, and if I didn't, I couldn't go anyway to begin with. But once at the mall, I was always worried that after the movie and some snacks and some video games, I wouldn't have enough cash for the bus fare home. I worried that I would actually accidentally spend down into that and that I'd be stuck at the mall. So I got in the habit of, before I even left home, putting enough bus money for the ride home in my left pocket and never using it while I was at the mall. I could spend what I had in my right pocket right down to the last penny if I wanted to, but I would never spend what was in my left pocket. It was always the fare plus a little extra just in case. It was my safety blanket, that little bit of money in my left pocket. It meant I could get home quickly, easily, and safely. And so you can imagine the startle I felt one day after watching the movie, having some popcorn, and playing pole position, my favorite race car game, when I stepped aboard the bus and reached into my left pocket for my bus fare and found the pocket empty. There was no money there. I knew there was no money in my right pocket either, but I stepped out of the way of people behind me and checked anyway. I checked my back pockets, my jacket pockets, and there was no money anywhere. I had no idea what to do. The line had cleared by then, and the driver was watching me frantically patting my pockets for money. I was ready to wave him on and start a long walk home that would end with my parents probably being quite hesitant to let me keep taking these trips that I really enjoyed. But before the driver could close the door, the last man to board the bus, who was still standing close to the fare box, looked at me and said, "I gotcha." He was dressed in jeans and a brown work shirt. I remember thinking he might have worked maintenance at the mall and was headed home, and he saw the mess I was in. And with a simple, "I got you," he put fare in the box so that I could go home. I said thank you so much to him, to which he replied, "No problem." And he did that quiet, smooth head nod thing that made him seem really cool to me. And then he sat down and read a book while I sat opposite him on the bus. We didn't say another word to each other until we reached his stop, which was before mine. And as he stood to leave, I said, "Thanks again." And he gave another cool guy head nod, and that was the first and last time I saw him. But he has stayed with me, he and his "I got you." I got that I was a stuck kid and I needed help. He got that something had gone wrong somewhere and I was in a tricky situation. He got that he had a few extra bucks that he could help tremendously, and he parted with that money quickly and with no more flash than a head nod. I thought I was independent. He got that I wasn't. Not really. I may have been a kid who could manage a bus trip to the mall, but there would be times when I needed help getting home, times when I couldn't do it alone, times when I would need the kindness of strangers to get me where I needed to go. I thought I was independent and able to manage that journey and any other journey of life I wanted to take alone. He got how wrong that was, and through his actions, he taught me what he got, what he knew, what he had learned over the years, that we were all in this together, that we have to be each other's keepers, that we have to give away the goodness we hold without exception, without reservation, as limitlessly and luminously as possible. His act was an act of ministry, far more alike than unlike the kinds of acts that we as a faith and as a congregation create in our world. We too bear witness to fear and confusion. We too see people who find their anticipated journeys throughout life blocked by obstacles, and unlike whatever happened to me at the mall, those obstacles often have nothing to do with their own creation. We too know that sometimes something goes wrong, and like him, we too know life to be an interdependent enterprise, and that we are elementally interconnected with everyone else on the bus, in the mall, in homes, and places everywhere. And we know that if we can help, we should. And we too know that sometimes we are not the wise gift giver, but the one in need of the gift. For we have all known the fear and despair and sadness that have caused us to sink down. We have all had obstacles placed before us that we could not move ourselves. We have all worshiped our own imagined independence to the point of making it an idol, only to have our pockets or spirits or hearts or hope go empty at the wrong time. And in those anxious moments, as we found again, that we're really not in control of our life and that we are not as independent as we thought we were, we know that others have helped us through. There will be times when what gets us through life's most difficult moments is the kindness, the compassion, the empathy, and the love of another, sometimes of someone we know, sometimes of strangers along the way. Our faith teaches us to be that giving person, be we friends, families, or strangers in relation to the recipients. Our faith also teaches us to receive the same gifts of others with gratitude, and everything we do here, every ministry that we alive in, is centered in those two expressions of our faith. In our justice ministries, in how we teach our kids, in how we learn together, in the spirit that we create in worship, in the pastoral care that we offer one another, in the fellowship that strengthens and connects us, Every ministry here is one in which we give of ourselves and our gifts to the world, as others give their gifts to bless and strengthen us. Each act connects us more deeply with one another and with the world. Each act builds us anew as people better able to transform the isolation and the fear that is, but not ought to be, into something hopeful and connected. Each act of ministry here strengthens and equips us to live our faith beyond these walls and in ways that bless far beyond our knowledge. We know that too often in the world the message is that someone without bus fare is stuck, even if there is a kid. We know that so often the message is that someone who is sad should get over it, or that someone who is oppressed should just try harder, or that a victim of anything unjust is to be blamed for being a victim. We know that so often the message is that those with plenty have no obligation to those with not enough, and that those who are safe have no obligation to create more safety, and that those who are well-fed have no obligation to feed others. We know that so often these days the professed gospel of America is a profane distortion of any kind of moral sentiment that values all life and respects all people. Empathy is sneered at. Compassion is mocked. The strong persecute the weak and pat themselves on the back for doing it. Intelligence is ignored while hyperbole reigns on social media, and the very idea of truth is under attack by those who claim any representation of it that offends their opinions isn't real. And as this happens, people stand before the bus of hope and compassion, frozen in fear and anxiety, unsure of what to do and where to go. And like that stranger of my childhood, our congregation and our faith say to those people standing there, "We got you." Stewardship is our way of saying, "We got you. Your fare has been paid by those who've come before. Come on board, sit down, be among us. You, the stranger, you, the sad, you, the fearful, who feels alone. Your fare has been paid by people of faith who've built these walls and built these ministries and built this faith community of hope and of love. Many of them aren't even here anymore. Many have died, and yet their gifts live in ministries that exist to welcome, to strengthen, and to bless you. So come here and know love. Come here and know hope. Come here and know that you are not alone. We got you, as others earlier had us. And once you're on the bus and you have your bearings and you have some hope and a sense of your own voice and strength, know that you can get others too. Here in this house, you'll be surrounded by people committed not to reflecting the profanities of the world, but to transforming them into moments of beauty and goodness. You'll be able, with our strength and shared inspiration, to bring others on board so that they too find warmth and inspiration. Riders who in turn will share that with even more people. You'll be able to, having had your fare paid by those who've come before, pay the fares of those to come, so that this house of love and hope and justice making welcomes everyone who seeks its comfort, wisdom, and community. And now in particular is the time when people really need that. Now is the time when people need to be reminded of goodness, of hope, and the broad call for justice that never stops sounding, even when the winds of oppression are howling around us. Now, more than ever, people need to be able to lean into the strength and vision of our congregation and our faith, and to find their balance and build their hope so that they can move into a frightening world with faith, courage, and the strength of community. Stewardship in the life of a congregation is about building the church that proclaims this way of being and practices it every day. And each gift of every level better equips us to serve more people with our faith. In stewardship, the money that we pledge is really about the hope that we build and the compassion that we will share and the love that we will send out into the world, polluted by far too many words of hatred. Now more than ever is the time for our congregation and our larger faith's message and ministries in the world. Now is the time for our liberal religious voice to sound over all the waters and across all lands. Now, when messages unlike ours dominate the airwaves and social media feeds, now is the time for our gospel to be proclaimed from the mountaintops and the valley bottoms. Now is the time to pledge to pay someone else's fare, to pledge to pay as many fares as possible, because there are multitudes struggling with fear and isolation. And we too have felt the anxiety of those narrow places, and we know that it was only because of someone else paying our fare that we have this community to call home. Someone, many people really, years and years ago, looked into the future and imagined our lives, and some with elegant words and some with casual head nods put their money down so that we could come home. It's our turn to do the same as generously as we possibly can. Each gift calls someone home to a place of faith, hope, and love, a place that can strengthen them for the journey and connect them with other travelers. Each gift is a silent head nod or a warm welcome to someone who needs the same gifts we have to offer. Each gift is the fare of someone, perhaps a kid, away from home and a little scared, who will be blessed by our digging deep and sharing our faith. May we give generously, getting others as many have gotten us. May we look at the fearful and the lonely, the sad and the imprisoned, those in a strange land, unsure of where and what home is, and say, "We got you." May it be so. Amen. I invite you to rise in spirit, or body or spirit, and join in singing our final hymn, "The Fire of Commitment," number 1028 in the Teal hymnal, 1028. As we depart this place, I offer you these good words by Naomi King to carry with you. How shall we begin to live out our free faith, nurture this precious flame? When we do, we are beacons of freedom, creating a safe place to rest, explore, and innovate. Nurture this precious flame. How we keep this lamp of truth and justice affects how and whether we are transforming inequity through witness and action. Nurture this precious flame. As we nurture this precious flame together, we become a light of hope, turning isolation into community, anguish into peace, and sorrow into joy. Nurture this precious flame. As we do, our faith burns a steady flame of innovation, banishing illusion, creating a new and renewing way together. Nurture this precious flame. And with our living connections, and with our glowing stories, and with our flame of freedom moving hand to hand, we nurture this precious flame. Together we turn the world from bleak to bright, one flame, one fire, one light at a time. As our service concludes, let's wave and say goodbye to the folks online.
So at the bottom of the page of Fire of Commitment, it says percussion is highly recommended. So for this song, percussion is going to happen. And it goes like this: stamp, clap. Got plenty and nothing, what do I do? Got plenty and then some, what do I do? Got plenty and then some, what do I do now? Go out and help somebody, get plenty and then some too. Ooh, got a roof over my head, what do I do? Got a roof over my head, what do I do? Got a roof over my head, what do I do now? I help somebody get a roof over their head too. That's what I do. I got supper on the table, what do I do? Got supper on the table, what do I do? Supper on the table, what do I do now? Go out and help somebody get supper on the table too. 'Cause I got it to give, I got it to give. When you get enough to give it away, that's the only way to live. I'm going to heaven, what do I do? I'm going to heaven, what do I do? I'm going to heaven, what do I do? Go out and help somebody. Sing along, go out and help somebody. I go out and help somebody get to heaven.